mean, I hear just these amazing, incredibly tragic stories, tragic things that have happened in their lives. And I hear, of course, also just some really amazing and wonderful things. And sometimes, people will say, well, the worst thing that happened in my life also turned out to probably be the best thing that happened in my life.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, where I talk with fascinating, talented, and inspiring guests who reflect on the adventures and challenges of aging and who are living their lives with vibrance and purpose. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, psychotherapist, writer, and fellow Zestful Ager. I want to invite you to my brand new free webinar, Zestful Aging. Here's how you do it. Many of my clients tell me that they're stretched too thin with too many demands upon them. They are just worn out. In my brand new webinar, I teach simple and sensible habits that will significantly improve your life now and help you age with vibrance and resilience. But it's important to start now. Don't wait until your body's distress signals go from a whisper to a scream. If you've followed me at all, you know I'm not about restrictive diets or boot camps. I believe life can be challenging enough. Let's appreciate our bodies and minds for the miraculous systems they are and take the time to take care of ourselves. Self-care pays big dividends now and in the future. And being well ourselves is the only way we can help those we love. And if you sign up now, I will send you my super Zestful Aging checklist, which I designed so you have clear guidelines right at your fingertips. The webinar is free. You can sign up at NicoleChristina.com. And as always, I appreciate your feedback. Well, I have my Jack Russell Terrier Sparky right beside me and my coffee in my hand. So let's begin. Today we are talking to Meg LaPorte, who is a writer, communications specialist, and an advocate for aging. She's created a project called Age in America, which was inspired by Humans of New York. And it combines the power of storytelling and social media to change people's perspectives about being older and growing older. It's kind of like the Story Corp from public radio, and here to talk more about it is Meg LaPorte. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
I really am so interested in this project and how it came to be. Can you talk a little bit about, I know you said it was inspired by Humans of New York, but how exactly did this get started?
Sure. So I would say about 2 years ago, I had just started freelancing and working on my own, and I had left a job, and I was in a bad place kind of personally, but I had a lot of colleagues and friends who I knew from the aging services field, and so I was doing a lot of writing, a lot of freelance work. And I was inspired by all these things that were happening in aging services. And one of the people I was writing for was someone named Dr. Bill Thomas. He has a blog called Changing Aging. And he's a luminary in the field of aging services. Is known as an innovator. He created something called the Greenhouse Project, which are small house nursing homes. And he also created something called Eden Alternative, which also is a model of nursing home care and staffing that is very different than the institutional model. His intention was to eradicate institutions, nursing home institutions, that is, like nursing facilities. And so he's done that with Greenhouse Project and Eden Alternative, and he has a blog where he talks about those issues. and many other related issues. And he began doing this tour around the country in which he presented something he calls nonfiction theater. And he would stop in these relative sort of mid-sized cities, and he's still doing it actually. And he used song and storytelling and sort of TED-like sort of talks to talk about aging and ageism and in the importance of treating people respectfully um, in the settings such as nursing homes and, of course, anywhere else. Anyway, so when I started writing for him, he asked me if I could think of a way to bridge the tour with the website, with the blog, Changing Aging. And at the time, I didn't think that much of it. But a few months later, and I mean, I said I would do what I could. But then a few months later, I was looking at Humans of New York, probably on my Facebook page. And I just loved Humans of New York. And I'm sure, as you obviously know what it is. And about, I think, 100 million other people do too.
It's a really clever idea. It's
Isn't
simple, but it sort of just captures you.
Yes, yeah, it is. Just like many sort of genius ideas, some are just so simple.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
some are like, why didn't I think of that?
Mhm.
So I was looking at it and I was fascinated. And I'm just fascinated by how Brandon, who's the person who started it, can capture this great image, and then you can look at it and look at somebody in the picture and think something about them. You form your own idea about them and your own perception. And then you read something about them, you read the story they have to tell or something about their situation, and it just completely changes your perspective and gives you a new perspective or a different perspective. And I thought, why can't we, that would be really great to do that for older adults and to have it sort of related to the tour and interview people when they go to see Dr. Thomas on his tour. And so I presented it to them, and they really liked it, but they just couldn't launch it at the time. I think they were near the end of one of their tours. So I went to my graduate school, which is it's called the Erickson School. It's at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. They have a program that an undergraduate and graduate program, which is called Management of Aging Services. And I graduated from the program in 2014. And I went to the dean there and some of the other people, and I presented the idea to them, and they thought it was awesome. So they were just really supportive of me, and in many ways
What
helped.
made you decide to go to your school and do that? I'm just curious what you were thinking. What was the goal there going back to your school?
Oh, well, I had kept in touch with them, and they just became really friends and colleagues since I had graduated.
I see.
And I thought it might be a good idea for the school to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just up the road from me in Baltimore. I live right outside of DC. And so it wasn't, difficult for me to go up there. And I really loved how the people there, they're just great people. And so I just thought and they were just very, very supportive. And so they helped connect me to many people in Baltimore who are in the field and who in retirement communities and senior centers, and I was connected to some via some of my own personal connections, and I just began interviewing people. I began going to communities and lining up interviews, and I just started, and so I take my phone and I record the interview. I ask the person, I explain obviously to the person what I'm going to do, and I ask a series of questions. And I always ask the same set of questions. I did some research and I decided I wanted to ask some questions that would help elicit information and stories, and so I asked the same set of questions, and I also want to do research on it someday, qualitative research on the response to the questions.
Could you share some of the questions with us?
Sure, of course. So the very first question I usually ask is, what is it like to be 89? Mm-hmm. And that is usually met with, hey, it's pretty good. I like it. It's not so bad being 89 or whatever their age is. I mean, typically people actually feel pretty positive about it. Another question I ask is, What is the best thing that's happened in your life? And what is the worst thing that's happened in your life? And then I ask, what is something that you would like to learn? And what is something that you would like that you can teach someone else? So those are the basic questions that I ask. Yes, and then I record the interview so that I can be sure to capture the quotes appropriately. And then after I do all that, I take their picture. I take lots of pictures. And then I post it on the blog. I created a blog just like Humans of New York. It lives on a blog, but it's also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter as well.
So this is all you. This is your project. You thought of it, you're doing it, and you're managing it.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
At the moment, I wouldn't say I'm managing it very well.
This is in addition to your writing
Yeah.
and communications work?
Yes, it is. It is in addition to that. In addition to my paid work, let's just say. Yeah. So it's a passion project, right? So
Yes. So tell me what it's like to sit with these people who you don't know and ask them these questions that might be kind of personal.
right. So yeah, that's a good question. And I don't wow, so the first time when I started doing it, I think I must have thought that I must have felt nervous or something and thought, yeah, that is a pretty personal question. But as I began doing, I realized that people really don't. I mean, first of all, most of these places that I go to will ask people beforehand if they want to be interviewed by me. And so I presume they may not mind being asked different kinds of questions. And some people might decline, but that's very rare. Some people, I mean, when I ask one question, some people may say, I don't want to answer that, but I think that's really actually very, very rare. So it's amazing to me the kind of things that people say or people are happy to talk about. I mean, I hear just these amazing, incredibly tragic stories, tragic things that have happened in their lives. And I hear, of course, also just some really amazing and wonderful things. And sometimes, people will say, "Well, the worst thing that happened in my life also turned out to probably be the best thing that happened in my life." So.
So how is all this sort of talking to people about very real, deep, maybe profound experiences? How has that shaped your life?
Oh, that's another good question. So, in many ways, I think it has. I think most profoundly, it has, let's just say, contributed uh, to the to my understanding of myself, let's say, and contributed to my ability to feel better about myself, if that makes sense, or to, and also at the same time while I'm doing it, I'm also on the older side. I guess I'm probably would be described as post middle age, right? I'm 52. Is that post middle age?
It depends on what you call middle age now,
right? What is
right?
middle age, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's sort of generally, I think after 50, that's sort of the catch-all phrase. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, as one, as most people probably do when they turn 50 or some significant birthday around that, I've had a lot of thoughts about aging, right? And so doing this project has probably been therapeutic for me in that sense, and also there's, of course, incredible things to learn from people who have lived much longer, been on this planet much longer than you and I. So, and some of the wisdom that I hear is really incredible. For example, so the question about what is it that you could teach someone else, I presumed that the answers to that would be something like, I can teach piano, or I can teach another language, or I can teach someone to knit. But by and large, the answer, I would say maybe 40% of the answers are patience. I can teach someone to be patient, which I think is
Wow.
really interesting.
I mean, especially nowadays when, we're probably the least patient cohort to ever walk on the earth.
You mean as baby
As
boomers or?
yes,
Hmm.
exactly. In terms of our electronic devices and needing to Google everything that very moment.
Yes.
So it's a very different perspective on what's important.
It is, and I think that I think well, I think that the other thing I've learned is that when you get to be 80, whatever a more advanced age in the later years of your life, I think that you gain, I think most people, or many people that I've interviewed anyway, gain a perspective that is something that you wish you had when you were younger, maybe, and
Mm-hmm.
that is patience. One of them is patience. So
Mm-hmm.
I think. And then, the other very interesting thing I find is, like I told you, I asked them what is the worst thing that's happened in their life. And I will hear some incredibly tragic stories, really
Mm-hmm.
incredibly tragic stories. Just like,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has tragic things and bad things that happen in their lives. But I'll hear and I'll ask somebody, they'll tell me, someone told me a story about how his daughter or his wife, when he was young, much younger, his wife, who happened to be pregnant, was driving in the car with her brother, who had just bought a brand new Jaguar, and they were on the way to visit him. He was staying with his father, and they stopped at a bar. He had a drink, and he ran into. They were driving on the highway. I guess he was going very fast because he had bought this brand new car, and he ran into an on ramp or one of those or an overpass head on,
Mm-hmm.
and his
Mm-hmm.
wife died.
Mm.
And as you can imagine, that's incredibly tragic.
Oh yeah.
And there's another story that goes with it too about the brother who survived. But um, and then I asked him later, well, what is the? I think he gave me the story before I even asked him what the worst thing that's happened is. And I said to him, what is so what is the worst thing? And he said, I don't, I've had a pretty good life, right? And I've had,
Ah.
like so. And many other people will say that too. They will just told me something tragic a few minutes before,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll say, "Well, I've actually had a very good life." And I
How
think,
interesting.
yeah, yeah. So I think that you get a long view. That the having living that long and
Mm-hmm.
going through life in that way gives you, I believe, a long view that gives you a perspective whereby you have a greater, a distance from the tragedy or the event.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's like they say, time does heal some things, some wounds. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's why there's that saying. But
When you think about the questions you ask your participants, do you think your answers to those questions have changed for yourself as you've been interviewing these people?
oh, that's very interesting. Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what? They may change 30 years from now too. So
Right,
I'm sure they
right.
will actually. I would guess, unless nothing happens to me in the next 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Unlikely.
Right, right.
Wow, it sounds like such an enriching experience. It's like you get to kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit.
Yes, yes. I absolutely love it. I've always been someone who's been interested in other people's lives. I'm sort of a voyeur maybe, or, you know, about people's lives. So tell me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm always curious about my daughter's friends. She would, when, she would say, Mom, why are you so interested in Regina? Why are you so interested in what she does and what she goes? And I'm like, I don't, I'm just interested in people. I'm interested, and not everybody is, but I think, I'm just interested in how people, what the path that people take in life. So doing this is just another way to get at that probably. So
Mm. Do you have a sense that your participants have enjoyed this conversation?
Yes, yes. I think, well, first of all, kind of self-select. So like I said, for the most part, when I go, it's usually, many times it's in a retirement community or a nursing home, and the folks will have been asked beforehand, do they want to, that I'm coming on a certain day, and would they like to be interviewed? So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people already know they're going to be interviewed, and therefore, seem are very interested in seeing, for the most part, very interested in telling their stories or answering the questions anyway. So, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you get really short answers and you have to pull it out of them. Sometimes to pull things out, and I'll sort of meander around with different questions and that sort of thing, and they'll be really short. But for the most part, the interviews end up being, I'd say at least 20 minutes, 25 minutes, or something like that. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
longer, sometimes much longer. Some people are talkers, as we know. Just it depends on the
Mm-hmm.
personality, I think. So,
Are there any people that you wish you could spend more time with and learn more about?
oh yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
any come to mind?
yes. I went to Rochester a few weeks, maybe it was about a month ago, actually. There was a community up in Rochester called St. John's Living, I think it's called. It's a large, like a continuing care retirement community in the city. And they found out about me. They asked me to come up. So I went up there and spent 2 days there. And I interviewed this woman who actually was a professional storyteller.
Oh.
Yeah. So what happened was I spoke. I did a presentation about age in America. And after that, I talked to people. Before that, I interviewed people too. But this woman was in the audience. So I ended up interviewing her afterwards. And she told me some incredible stories about her life that just blew me away, and I was so fascinated by her. And there have been many other people I've been fascinated by, but this one comes to mind right at the moment because it was relatively recently. So,
Mm. What are the kinds of things that were particularly interesting?
let's see. So I guess to hear about what people, it's interesting to hear about occupations that people have had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but honestly, I started. The idea for me for the project was not just to get stories about the past that people have, not just to get stories about their history or what happened to them in the past or what they were like in the past, but also to be present with them and to find out how they are presently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important in helping to change perspectives and reframe. I think, or I hope it is anyway, so that when somebody who's maybe very young looks at it, maybe looks at the post and reads it and says and sees that someone says, yeah, I really like being 85. It's awesome. I can go do
Mm-hmm.
whatever I want. I don't have the burden of having to make lunch for my children every single day, but
Mm-hmm.
I have the joy of having grandchildren who I can spoil.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some examples, right? But um, I think the story, I love to, like, I do love to hear it. So I like to hear what people talk about their lives currently and what they do and what they like to do. That to me
Mm-hmm.
also is fascinating. Um,
Is part of your agenda in the Age in America blog sort of holding a light up to ageism? I mean, is that
oh,
part of your wish for this project?
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very much, I guess, a project help to help people reframe their views about aging and therefore change their views about being ageist. Not that people maybe not recognize themselves that when they're ageist. I think all of us are in some ways, but by changing your view about aging and what it's like to be older, then hopefully you will have less prejudice about other people who are older, right?
I
And about
see.
about what they might do or the choices they may make, or when you see somebody who is walking down the street very slowly and you wonder, you know where's that instead of thinking, why is that person walking so slowly, perhaps you will think, oh, I want, have a much more benign view, let's just say,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So a more familiarity with it, and
Yes.
just a knowing more about who that individual might be
Yes.
behind their body. I see. I
Yes, that's a
see.
good way to put it. And when I
Mm-hmm.
was doing research for this, I found this concept, and maybe you've heard of it. I think it's a psychological concept called mere exposure. Does that
I
sound
do.
familiar?
It does not sound familiar.
And the word is MERE, mere exposure. And I think it was,
Oh,
and I found the research was done, I think, many, many years ago. And I'm guessing it was sort of the basis for maybe advertising, like in print and media advertising,
right.
because the idea is that the more you are exposed to something,
Mm-hmm.
the more familiar it becomes to you, the more inured, or the more um, it becomes more part of your own culture and your own um, lexicon, I guess. And
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I guess maybe, and so my thought
So they're
is,
not the other. It's
yes,
not
right,
okay. It's this could be me.
yes, right, right. And so
Mm-hmm.
perhaps the less you otherize it or marginalize it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I hope that that's something that I would hope would happen with this
Mm-hmm.
project.
So has what you've learned and experienced through this work, has it changed what you're interested in writing about, and has it changed other parts of your professional work?
Oh yeah, definitely. It definitely has. So, and it's really opened, I think, a lot of doors for me in many
Mm-hmm.
ways, and made some really just fabulous connections. So, for example, my one of my clients is an organization called Lifespan Network. It's based in Maryland, and they represent aging services providers, folks who have assisted living communities, nursing homes, hospice, home care, the whole range of care that you might, long term and post acute care, I suppose you may call it. And they are so interested in the project that now they're going to be offering, I'm trying to set, in the process of setting up, offering it to their members as a free
Mm-hmm.
service, and but then having it promoted by them and by Lifespan, so that there's sort of a many layered levels of promotion, and in that way it gets more exposure. And in that way, in my opinion, there's the that's where the mere exposure hopefully comes in, right?
I see. So their clients will be invited to participate. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, it'll be offered to them as a, it'll be offered to them as a free, I guess, service, quote unquote. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I've presented it to some of their members, and they're very, some are very excited to have me come in and interview their clients or their residents, their elders, and even their staff. Because I've also interviewed, I haven't mentioned this yet, but I've also interviewed for the project some CNAs. You're
Mm-hmm.
familiar with what a CNA?
Yes.
So for the audience, that's a
Mm-hmm.
certified nurse assistant.
Yeah, they're on the front lines.
Yes, exactly. And they hold a special place in my heart because I've been working in aging services for about 18 years, and for part of that time, for about a decade, I worked for a magazine. I was managing editor of a magazine that was a trade magazine that went to every nursing home in the country and probably most assisted living communities. So I had the great pleasure of interviewing people from every level of that of the of those entities of a nursing home or an assisted living, and everybody who works in the field, anywhere from the medical director to a nurse to an administrator, and including CNAs. And I found that CNAs are just some of the most incredibly passionate and committed people, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm impressed. impressed and in awe of the work that CNAs do.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway,
Wow.
to get back to what I was saying, I've interviewed some for Age in America because they play a very important part and will continue to play a very important part
Mm-hmm.
in caring for our aging America. Um, and you may not know this, but CNAs actually make up the majority of they're the largest contingent of care providers in long-term in healthcare, I think.
Mm. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And that's only going to grow. So,
I would imagine. Do you have an idea that as this grows and grows, that other people will be doing this uh, for the project, or do you want to stay? You want to be the one who's the interviewer? Do you want to train other people to help you with this,
oh,
or is this your baby?
right. No, that's a good question. So, in some ways, I think, and I think probably when I first started, I thought it is my baby and, that sort of thing. But I think it's such an incredible thing that I think almost anybody can do it. But I do think that there's something to getting to know the person and the process. So yeah, I think people can be very easily trained to do it, and I think it would be wonderful. I've actually even enlisted the help of my daughter at one time. She did some interviews for me when we went
Oh
to a
wow.
yeah, we were driving home. We were driving to Michigan to visit my mother during the summer, and we stopped in Pittsburgh at a retirement community that had contacted me and wanted me to come. And so she interviewed uh, people while I was interviewing people in another room, and she took some awesome pictures too, by the way. um,
Oh wow.
so it's not. I mean, honestly, almost anybody can do it. And I like, I come up with my own set of questions that I want to do research on. But I think that there are other questions too that are good ones. People have asked me, well, have you ever asked anybody if they have any regrets?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an interesting question too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating. So, if you were going to really sort of think really big and take this as far as you can imagine taking it, what would be your wish for this project?
Yeah. So I guess I think on the scale of Humans of New York, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and what Brandon has done with that, I would love to be able to travel all over the world and interview people all
Mm-hmm.
over the world, older adults,
Mm.
and hear their and have their voices heard. That's what Brandon's done. A lot of that. He's gone to very, you know, different parts of the world and interviewed people who have been through some serious tragedies, have been through war and other disasters, that kind of thing, and gotten their perspective. And I would love to be able to do that for older adults.
Mm. It sounds like an AARP or a PBS project.
Maybe, yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Um, and I would love to, a book. I would love to publish. It would be great to publish a book of the photos and the
Oh,
along with
yes.
that. And I've started to get into video too. So
Mm-hmm.
I've
Oh,
actually,
that's
I'm sorry.
you taking video with your phone or how do you do that?
So I actually met this really great filmmaker who did a couple of interviews with me, and he did this incredible job of. Um, so I don't think I could match that with my phone. I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't, I think that probably you could get something very compelling with the phone too.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for social media, right? So,
Mm.
but I don't. I've I think that I think it would be probably better to continue to work with someone who's a videographer or filmmaker who can do
Mm-hmm.
wonderful things. Although I don't have that talent, so I would have to hire somebody to do it probably at this
Mm-hmm.
point. But
So are you in the business of grant writing right now for this project?
not for this project. I happen to be
Mm,
helping another organization write grants, but
I see.
that's good experience because that has occurred to me. I would very much like to write a grant for the project.
Mm.
And you know what? There are very similar projects. I did discover that there are some projects just like based on Humans of New York. There are a number of them out there. There's that aren't they aren't necessarily focused on older adults, but there's Humans of Paris, Humans of Judaism, Humans of San Francisco, and then
Uh-huh.
um, and then someone did an Elders of Baltimore,
Oh,
which is,
really?
yes, and did a very same thing, very similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's really no, and I hear about projects all the time that are very similar. There's another one out there. A woman connected with me recently, and I can't remember the name of her project right now, but I think she's based in Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
She does film, just film, where she films, she interviews folks and then has them on film, just talking about their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it just sounds, I mean, we all want to hear the stories, right? We all want to see what it's going to be like for us.
Yes.
Mm. Hmm. Any last reflections that you have, Meg, that you want to share with our listeners? What you've learned from this project? How how it might have changed your view on aging?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So I don't know, I think I referenced it before about how it probably has been therapeutic for me. But also, I think it has made me also think about myself and my own aging and recognize that that I want to embrace the process and perhaps I'll even go gray soon.
Mm.
And that's a reference to, yeah, as you probably know, the fact that society doesn't seem to want women to have gray hair. So, and I happen to like the color of my hair right now, but I really feel like I would like um, to grow it out gray
I
soon.
to grow you're thinking about growing it out. So what are some of the parts of that decision? What are the pros and cons?
I think, well, the pros of it, of course, are that I wouldn't have to pay to have my hair colored anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and honestly, I don't know what the cons are. There probably aren't many cons other than I'm not sure that I would like the color. I'm not sure I feel like I would like the color at the moment. And I like the color that my hair is right now, which is,
I see.
which is it's kind of a blondish and I'm naturally dark haired. So I'm not sure. I was listening to your interview with Sally, I can't remember her, Fox, right?
Sally Fox,
Yes.
yes, uh-huh.
The other day you guys were talking about that, and I thought that was
Yep.
really fascinating, your discussion about that. I thought that was great.
It's a big one because, we talk about discrimination, we know it's real, and people are going out on job interviews and feel a real pressure, of course, to look younger. And so it's very tricky.
It is tricky. You're right. You're absolutely right. I think that is, the other part of it I hadn't, that is, I suppose that could be the con of it. Yes, that it's tricky in that your people perceive you, if you are looking for a job or you're trying to um, have a presence somewhere, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
people, and because of ageism,
That's
people still
right.
view you as different or maybe other because you're older and
Yep.
therefore have certain perceptions. So, which is unfortunate, right?
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels a little radical, although my understanding is it's getting more and more accepted, and women are actually growing their hair out in longer styles and having it gray to say, no, really, this is it. There's a lot of it, and I'm here to show it to you.
I think that's
Um,
fabulous. Yeah, I think you're
uh,
right. I think that is happening, and I think it is fabulous. And I've had a number of friends tell me, that they have had a hard time finding jobs and therefore have had to keep up coloring their hair and taking the dates off of their resume because they don't want to be perceived as being older. So, hopefully that that will change. That would be nice if that could change someday soon, and we wouldn't have to worry about all those accoutrements of trying to keep up with what society thinks is acceptable at our age or whatever it is, right?
Well, there's strength in numbers, right? So as more and more of us become gray, I guess that'll be the new normal. Assuming that, people decide not to color, but it's expensive and it's a lot of chemicals.
It is, right? And you can imagine
Yeah.
how much money there is in it, right? So there's a lot of money
Yep.
in investing in the media and commercials and advertising to get people to think that they need to color their hair.
Exactly. I was flipping through channels. This is not a typical evening for me, but I think I was kind of tired of flipping through channels, and they were selling this kind of thing that you put on your face to make it younger, and it's plumps it, and it does all this stuff, and it's all new, and they're doing it. And I had this strange thought that I have no doubt that works, but I just don't care enough to invest that time and money on reducing my wrinkles. I guess I just don't care enough. And it was a funny realization because it wasn't, I didn't, they had all these before and afters, and, her dad was a chemist. It just seemed like it was fairly legitimate. And I had actually read about it as a process to get rid of wrinkles. And I just thought, I'd rather spend that time walking my dogs.
I agree. I agree.
So,
And the money too, right? Wouldn't you rather spend your money
mm-hmm.
on something else?
Sure. So I guess it's a matter of priority. And I think when you get older, you know that time is precious and you got to pick things a little more carefully.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, yeah. So thanks so much. It just sounds really fascinating, and I just want to make sure I can let our listeners know where to find you. It's ageinaamerica.blog. Is that right?
Yes, that is the blog address. That's age
Mm-hmm.
as in AGE in
Okay.
America.blog. And then it's on Instagram. The
Okay.
same name is just Age in America and
Okay.
same name on Facebook.
Perfect. And if people wanted to reach you, could they reach you through those addresses?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Hmm.
great, great. It's been wonderful speaking with you, Meg. This is just a lovely project, and I'm excited to look at it again and see what you've come up with. It sounds like it's going to grow and develop, and um, there's good things to come.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share with some of your friends. I love to hear from my listeners. Send me an email at nicolechristina.com. And please consider becoming a patron of the show. You will get access to exclusive bonuses, and you will be part of the Zestful Aging community. Keep us going strong. Go to patreon.com/zestfulaging. See you next time for another episode of Zestful Aging.